Way FM, g'day to you. It's Joel and Luke with The King Country, including our dear mum, Helen.
Yes, that's right. And we're taking over the afternoon show for the next few hours.
Any final words, mum?
I'm sure you guys are going to do a great job.
No, we're doing it with you, so it's on you.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for inviting me.
So I have a bowl of questions since this was my interview, but now apparently it's your show or whatever. So if you just want to interview each other, I guess. I don't know what we're doing here.
Right,
you can't see this, but there is a plastic red bucket of little pieces of paper with questions inside.
And do we aim all of them at? Do we aim all of them at Mom?
Whoever wants to answer.
All right.
Okay.
Question number 1? Drum roll, please. Any hints to help moviegoers spot the sibling cameos? Not just sibling cameos, but even parent cameos.
Oh, I completely missed that.
Yeah.
Someone warned me that there were sibling cameos. I missed every single one of them.
Well, that means that we're that good of actors.
We can give you.
You don't even notice
spoilers?
this.
Up to you. It's your movie.
All right, Mum. Let's see if Mum can actually call out all of her children in the film.
Mom, what are the spoilers? Okay, go
Let's
ahead.
go.
Do you want me to spoil it for you?
Yeah. Hey, if you don't want the spoiler alerts, switch off Way FM right now.
Don't do that. You're terrible at this.
Well, Rebecca is very early on in the movie, and she is the flight attendant.
Qantas flight attendant.
Okay.
Daniel is at the very end of the movie, and he is running lights for Rebecca's first show.
With Daniel running lights.
With his
so he's
young
like an
Daniel.
instructor.
With young Daniel and old Daniel.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Multiverse.
I love that.
Ben had his own scene.
And the only speaking line of any sibling.
Rebecca has a speaking
Libby.
line.
Oh, and Libby.
Yeah.
You're right.
So Ben had his own scene, but he had to get cut.
For the record, he cut himself.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He watched the screener, and he's a filmmaker, and he understands edits better than any of us. And he literally said, "Hey, I'm not saying this because it's me, but I don't think you need that scene."
Wow. Good for him.
Cut himself out.
So then they had to be creative because they did not film him in any other position. So here's the mystery one that I myself still, after watching it 4 or 5 times, I have to admit I have not seen him because he has a picture on a cereal box.
It's called Benji Bites.
I noticed the cereal bite, and I was trying to think back to the 90s if that actually existed.
Benji Bite. What?
So that's real creativity, that one.
Yeah, okay.
Then we have Joel, who plays
he's
David.
Easy. Yeah.
Does an excellent job playing his father. Then we have Luke, and he plays Michael Sweet in Striper.
I
with
missed
the
that.
long hair.
Yes. Until your April Fool's post where you were joking.
That's right.
That's who he was. I missed that completely.
That's right.
The spandex, the flowing mane.
I like to say that I am such a good actor that I'm forgettable. You know what I'm saying?
He just absorbed the role.
I just was like, I was a method actor that day.
Yeah.
I stayed in character the whole day.
No one recognized you.
I think they should invent an Oscar for a non-speaking role, and I think I could be in contention.
I will nominate you.
And then Josh is the first to stand up in the audience when Rebecca comes on stage.
Josh is an audience member.
Okay.
Yep, and he looks very happy to be there.
He does.
He's very, And then Libby delivers Libby. She's the nurse in the delivery room.
Wow. Oh, that's really special.
That's cool.
And she says something to the effect of, "And you have a little baby girl," which is her.
Wow. And then you and David are both in the film too.
Yes. So our role is on the train coming from Los Angeles to Nashville or Memphis. And when we did that, our last leg of our train trip over was very memorable in the fact that when we didn't board the train until about 1 o'clock in the morning, when we got to the train, they had given away all our group seats, and so we had to divide all the family up
into pairs.
Yeah.
And so Rebecca was in the unenviable position of being right down the front of the carriage, and she was sitting opposite an elderly man, And so she would put her feet up on the men's. She would put her feet up on the
while
men's.
she was sleeping.
Actually, in real life,
Yes.
this happened.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She'd put her feet up on the man's legs, and then she would wake up when he's putting the feet back down on the floor. And so David and I were the elderly couple that she was sitting opposite.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so I have a little bit of face blindness. So I'm watching this movie, and I was like, wow, Joel plays his dad, and then David plays his own dad. And my husband goes, no, that's what's his face
John
from
Locke.
Lost. Yes,
Yeah, John Locke. Terry O'Quinn.
Completely missed that, yeah. So that's cool. That's very cool information to help people spot all of the small
And
bones.
if by chance you just joined and you're like, what on earth are they talking about? Starting tonight, actually, you can see it first. It's a film titled Unsung Hero, a film about miracles, about mum and mums, about music. It's a 90s film about really circles around our parents and our sister Rebecca and James moving from Australia to the United States and all of the triumphs and tragedies that we faced as a family along the way. Lionsgate is distributing it, and it's they're putting it in thousands of theaters across the United States. The official release date is this Friday, which is the 26th, which it's fun to have Mum here and tell in this part of the story. Adam Fogelson at Lionsgate picked the date.
The release date.
Oh, you didn't pick
We
this.
did not pick it.
Okay, this is cool.
And about a week later, we were on the phone with Mum, and she goes, oh, that's our 49th wedding anniversary.
How did you not know that, Joel?
Luke
that's what I'm hearing
Luke
in this
didn't
story.
clock it. I
Okay.
knew the whole time, but Luke, and I remember I lied to Mum, and we said
It was the
yes.
holiest of white lies.
I said, that's Mum, that's why we did it.
why we did it.
But Bekah, we did the math. So, as you know, films release on Fridays.
Yeah.
Fridays only fall on the 26th of April every 7 years,
He didn't do this, man.
which is a
Trust
1
me.
in 2,555 possibility that could happen.
And you just had that off the top of your head.
So
That
now
I
I'm wanting to know what the plan is
Mathematician.
for our 50th wedding anniversary.
know.
Yeah,
How did
this
they
is 49.
top this? You should have waited on this year.
Dad didn't want to be cliche, so I was like, "Oh, Helen, we'll just release it on the
Perfect. I love it.
26th, 49 instead of 50." Do you want to start another one?
Yeah, let's do another question. Go for it. It's your show, apparently.
All right. Hey, it's Joel and Luke and our mum for King and Country, or for Queen and County right now, depending on how you look at it, talking about our new film, Unsung Hero, on Uplifting Way FM. This is our official takeover for the next few hours. Thank you for joining us. And what we're doing right now is we have a little red bucket in the studio, and Bekah has been kind enough to not only let us take over, but she's put together a load of questions.
Yeah, I'm not asking. It's not my show. It's you asking them. So go.
Sorry.
Don't turn my mic off.
Is this the button? All right, here we go. Luke, do the honors.
Mother, sweet, sweet mother, what scene in the movie brings back the strongest memories for you?
This is good.
Probably, actually, and this is, there's multiple, so how do you really pick one? But probably, well, there's so many actually now, but the first one that came to my mind, so I suppose I'll have to do the first one, is the intensity of being in immigration.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the first one because we got so scared that every time we would go in and out of America for years, I mean, it had to have been maybe 15 years. He was terrified.
Because you got separated in the movie, and it's you and the kids.
Yes,
and,
that's correct. We did get separated. And so because it was intensified, has more intensity attached to it because it happened repetitively every time we would come in and out of America for years, probably till we got our green card.
You just
And
got a
even
lot
then-
of questions.
Yeah.
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 It was
And so
difficult.
we just got looked at a lot, and we were so unusual wherever we went because we're a family of 9.
That's also the low-hanging fruit, Mum, because it's the opening scene of
Hey,
the
that's good. Hey, that's
Spoiler alert
That's
here.
good. That's good.
No, that's a good answer.
Was
All
there
right.
was there anything that you were acting in, Joel, where you had a moment of, wow, I remember living this?
Oh, a lot of it. The strange thing about the movie was the ergonomics of Luke and I were really young at the time.
Yeah.
Like he was 5, I was 7 when we moved. So we didn't have really a dog in the hunt in the story, other than we helped rake the leaves and mow the lawns, and we it was an adventure to us. But then the shift of not looking at the story from a childlike point of view, but shifting to, I'm roughly Dad's age when he moved now, to a man's point of view, a husband's point of view, and obviously in Dad's case, a father's point of view, and then dropping into, moving continents with a pregnant wife and 6 kids and not having insurance and not having a car and not knowing when the next meal was going to come from and losing your job. He loses a loved one in the middle of the film as well. And just this compounding failure
and loss.
The empathy that it provoked in me is pretty profound, And so, we experienced it all, obviously, from a childlike perspective, but it's amazing how the optics are so different. And I actually took a little lesson in it because I think I've been really lazy with our parents' story in seeing it just from a childlike perspective, but somehow putting yourself in their shoes, I mean, in my case, literally, putting myself in his shoes shifts so much. And I think we could all afford to put ourselves in someone else's shoes.
So we all need to go home and make movies about our parents.
Yeah,
it's a very expensive therapy session.
If you want to figure out a little bit more about your family, so just go make a movie.
Yeah. Perfect.
There you go.
Perfect. All right, let's do another question.
All right, everyone. Mum, it's time for you to ask a question, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mom, from the red bucket.
Mom asking us questions
Yes.
now. All right, here we go. This will be
Maybe
fun.
it'll be
Mom,
for
you
you.
could steer it. You could put it to whoever you want.
What do you remember praying for when your family was struggling?
That was a really specific part of the movie, as you had specific prayer requests. So I'm just curious if there's something that sticks in your memory of, oh, this was top of my mind, even from a childlike perspective, being so young.
It's the fascinating thing that I think happened now, just being as an adult and having 4 kids myself, is we would pray in our furnitureless living room, and we would pray for food. We would pray for work. We would pray for a car. We prayed for furniture. We prayed for all of these things. And I think that as a kid, you're probably most accustomed, and the feeling of not having food is probably something that you prayed for the most because, that's kind of just how you survive, But I think the thing that was
burritos from Taco Bell,
you could,
ramen noodle soups.
Yeah,
Thank God for Taco Bell.
Hamburger helper was another big one.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that the cool thing about that was being young kids and seeing, God open up doors to things that were incredible. To see people, you pray for food, and then people would drop groceries off on your doorstep, or people finding out that we didn't have furniture, and they would come and give us 2 box truck full of furniture, come to our house.
Your church really showed up for
and
you.
It wasn't even our church.
Really?
It was another
crazy.
local church that did that, which was really, really cool. Just to
the
see
community.
the community, and then everybody's on the same team here. Like, help doesn't just come from certain groups of people; it can come from all. And I think for us, it's actually impacted our certainly for Courtney and I, the way that we raise our children.
Yeah.
Because if you want your kids to follow in your footsteps and following Jesus, they need to see evidence of that in your home. They need to see evidence of that in your marriage. They need to see evidence of that in your friendships and the way that you love other people. And in some cases, out of mom and dad's need and struggle, we got the gift of seeing that evidence.
One of my favorite answered prayers that's depicted in the film as well is Christmas, because Santa Claus is a big deal in the Southern Hemisphere and
worldwide.
Yes,
what are you
and we've
talking about?
always made a big deal of him coming and putting out the milk and the cookies and the whole thing. And when the first Christmas we had in the States, I remember you, Mum, coming to us and saying, "Hey, Santa might not know where we live. And the problem is he might not be able to give us much this year. He might only be able to give us things from the dollar shop." And I remember just having this ridiculous childlike faith of like, "Mom, come on. Like,
It's
Santa Claus, it's Santa.
Hello.
He's not dictated to by our financial situation." And obviously unbeknownst to us at the time, but Santa Claus had some help from a first grade school class just down the road that sponsored our Christmas and made lists. So Mum came to us and said, "Make a list of all the things you want." And it was just this oxymoron of like, we had nothing and yet we had everything. Because we got more gifts that year than we've almost ever gotten, before or since. And I remember going to Mum, like it's one of my vivid memories as like a 7-year-old going to Mum that Christmas and being like,
See?
I told you.
"Told ya,
Santa's real.
ye of little faith."
Can I share, Bekah, one memory that I have that actually has not been spoken about? As we were praying for such practical needs every day, really, or very often, and prayer had become such a foundation, we went to someone's house as a family for dinner. And it was actually the guy whose Sunday school class was responsible for providing furniture for our home. And he invited us over to their place for dinner. And he was in pain that night. He had back pain. And as we were getting ready to leave, Joel actually came up to me and tugged me and said, "Mum, I think we should pray for him before we leave." And so we gathered his family and our family in a circle. And I think I actually said, "Well, Joel, do you want to start the prayer?" And he's 7 years old. And what it showed me is our life circumstances and actually praying for our practical needs had actually impacted the children to the point that they were looking for areas in which to pray.
You're looking for God.
Yeah.
So I just remember the guy being very blessed. I remember being very proud of Joel, of his sensitivity in that scenario and actually coming and making that request. And I don't know, it showed me that the life we were living, which was a life of faith, and very practically a life of faith, was actually impacting the kids.
Yeah. Man, and these stories of faith are depicted in their new movie, Unsung Hero. It comes out this Friday, April 26th, but some places are showing it tonight.
Some places are showing it tonight.
Yes.
If you want to see it 48 hours early.
Ahead of everyone else, yeah. Unsung Hero in theaters for sure this Friday. Do you want me to do it?
Hey, so Bekah, we're just here with Mum, and it's Joel and Luke, and on our show, thank you for being our guest.
Yep, sure.
Today. As part of
what
our
would be interesting
takeover.
is I mean, look, some of these things maybe we could ask Bekah.
Yeah, I have a sneaking suspicion that she actually came up with these questions.
That's true. That might be true.
Hey, would you pick out of the red bucket?
I can definitely pick out the red bucket. All right. Next question. Ooh, what real life story would you like to see made into a movie next?
What real life story would you like to see made into a movie next there, Bekah?
Well, it's funny watching the movie. We were talking a bit ago about how I don't think any of us really appreciate the struggle that all of our parents have gone through. And it's unique to every family. Yeah. But I don't have a movie budget to go play with. But to kind of dig into some of those stories that I remember one way from childhood, but certainly would look at with different eyes now, like you guys have kind of talked about with this.
I think sometimes it's good to think through, if you could put your life into a movie, what would be the highlights?
Yeah.
What would be the lowlights?
Yeah.
And then maybe even asking as kids, like to ask your parents some of those questions. Hey, Mom and Dad, like if you were to make a movie, it's not about making the movie, but it's interesting to hear the stories, because here's what I've realized is, even making this film, our family has some unique circumstances that we had to go and overcome. But what's fascinating in telling the story, obviously doing hundreds and hundreds of screenings and doing interviews, is everybody else has got parents that have walked through very similar things, maybe under different circumstances. And I just find it special for a lot of us kids to actually, to our parents, go and at least ask those questions. Hey, what was the highest moment of your life, Dad? Mom, what was the lowest moment? And vice versa. And I think you'll be amazed at the perspective and the wisdom that comes through those conversations.
My wife, Mariah's first generation Mexican-American, and she just lost her grandmom last year. And naturally, with us all working on the film together, as well as this loss of their grandma, she's done a lot of reflection of just their story.
Yeah, we all have one.
Her grandpa gave up. He was a trumpet player in Mexico, and he gave up trumpet playing to go work at Levi's with his wife, Mariah's grandma, for 35 years. Man,
because that's what the family needed.
That's what it is.
And that's how my mother-in-law came to be, was because of their commitment to just steadily, as immigrants, who still to this day, Grandpa does not speak great English. They just faithfully worked. He gave up his dream as a musician so that my wife could be a musician. Man. When you look at it generationally. And so she did an amazing thing where she she got in contact with the Levi historian and had them before Grandma passed. Had them last year, actually. We didn't know she was going to pass in October. She'd had a cancer scare and it came back very quickly, but had them go up to San Francisco to the headquarters and showed Grandma and Grandpa around all of these headquarters, and they're so proud, you know. Yeah. And so you look at stories like that and you go, they're just everywhere. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And the laziness of our generation, of me, I confess, like I said before, of going, you just don't look back very often. And if you do, you just look back to your parents, but looking back to your grandparents and going, man, the great sacrifice of giving up so much so that we could step into these stories and we could step into creating a band and traveling the world and being able to offer people music and a little hope and redemption. It's like, oh, there's so much. There's so many stories to be told.
There are so many stories, too, that I think all of us can see as we watch this film with our own families, which, by the way, you can do starting tonight in some locations. It's early release day, but Friday it'll be in theaters nationwide. Unsung Hero.
I love that everybody does have a story, and I think sharing your story is very powerful. It's actually also very biblical. The Israelites were very strong about remembering the faithfulness of God and telling the stories of how he had led their nation and how he had blessed them, and it says, tell them to your children and to your grandchildren. So stories, I think we've lost some of the art in families of telling stories of where we've come from, how God's dealt with us, how God's led us, and sharing those in a very intimate way. But I don't know if you boys have had this happen to you, but in being out and meeting with people and being with screenings and stuff, I have had a couple of people come up to me and say, is there a sequel? This one is setting up Rebekah's, how Rebekah got going. They were like, so is there a sequel that setting up how for King Country got going?
That's a great question. Is there a sequel?
If my kids want to do that when I'm old and gray, maybe.
I'll say this: there is a yet to be announced. They say that film is a portrait and documentaries are a picture. There is something of a picture of the journey of the King Country and Rebekah and the handoff there that we have in the works.
Was there a moment where you got emotional watching this back?
Oh yeah, you can't watch. In actual fact, the boys already know I don't love watching it, and I think it's not. I mean, I'm very proud of it. It's very humbling to see your story up there, but it has to be emotionally taxing. And so it's sort of one of those things where I know it's going to be, and I can't really tell you what it's raising within me necessarily, but it must take me back to that time. And so I find it difficult. But yes, no, it's emotional in a lot of places. I can probably separate it a fair amount from our reality, but I can feel the emotions coming and going throughout the whole movie. But when the end comes and they do, where sort of are they now?
Sort of our epilogue.
Yeah. Then I'm like, they're my people. Yeah. And by then the emotions just get the best of me.
It ties it to reality.
Yeah, because then it becomes our family. Yeah. Before that I can sort of hold it away from me a little. But no, it's a very real movie with a bunch of emotions. And I would say probably, I would think 80% at least of the audience ends up getting emotional at some point or another, just because it's so real to all our life stories. We have good times and we have hard times. There's loss. We've grieved somebody, maybe not in the ideal way. There's elements of marriage there, of pulling together, and maybe you didn't pull together. It just touches on so many issues.
Well, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly, which I respect that you put that into. I'm curious, and this question's in the bucket, so spoiler alert. This is my show now for just a second.
Okay, she's taking it over. Hang on.
No, but
she can't help herself.
She's like, don't forget who's in charge here.
I am curious, the family discussion into, okay, are we going to show all of this?
I think that we've always probably had a policy in the family, even if it's unspoken, that truth is always best, And I think that I think my hope for the film was always that people could see themselves in the movie. You know, everyone comes from a family.
Yes.
You know, and here's the thing, functional or dysfunctional, everyone comes from a family. And I would venture to say this, all families are dysfunctional.
Yes.
You just got to fight for the word functional in front of it. So we want to have a functionally dysfunctional family. That's the hope. That. And the only way that you can actually really do that is actually being honest, is actually by telling the truth. And you know, I think for this film, my hope is that fathers will see this film and they will look at themselves and they will evaluate themselves as a father and say, hey man, maybe I need to. I want to become a better father. Yeah. For mothers to see themselves maybe in my mom and say the fight is worth it. The struggle, the unseenness of what I do is seen based off of this movie.
That's good.
You know, my hope is that brothers and sisters will see themselves, and you know what it say in Scripture: don't look down on yourselves because you're young. You can do extraordinary things. Your age does not mean that you are capable or less capable of doing anything in life. I learned how, and this is not about me, but I learned how to mow lawns at 5. I did not think I was capable of mowing lawns at 5.
There's some child labor laws.
But I had
some people that believed in me. Yeah. I had parents that say, Luke, you're strong enough to do this.
You were needed.
You can do this. And so I think that my hope is that people start to look at their families and say, even if you're at college, hey, I got a roommate. That's your family for that time. What can I do to be a better roommate? What can I do to be a better uncle, auntie, cousin, whatever it might be? We're a part of family, and family shapes the next generation. The family shapes who you're going to be. It's that important.
There's no doubt that, you know, it's obviously an adventure film. It's obviously a 90s film. It's a music-based film. I love all the little needle drops. So you got Michael W., you got Stryper, Amy Grant, Seal.
Seal.
You know, you've got Rod Stewart, you've got Jesus Jones, you've got Lenny Kravitz, all kind of tucked away in there. But it is a family film, and one of the points of pride, there's 2 major points of pride, I think, for Luke and me in it, is one, ironically, when you look at, if you want to call the faith film a genre, if you look at it, there's actually not been many family films.
You're right.
And I'm really proud that we're offering to a faith and family genre a faith and family film. Yeah. And I'm also really proud that a lot of these films have really been built around sort of the male figures and the women, the wives, the daughters and whatnot have been sort of ancillary to their story, that this is Mum's story. This is Rebecca's story. And even Dad, you know, Dad is obviously a very key character in it, but he's sort of the hinge point of the film. He's creating he's the one going, we gotta move, and we're gonna, you know, he's creating the energy around the story, which is who Dad is and who I am, interestingly enough.
But Helen is steady.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, a gift that's what a lot of times moms bring to families. And you can see that throughout the film, for sure. You can watch this movie with your functionally dysfunctional family starting tonight in select theaters and nationwide. This Friday, it's Unsung Hero, and we're going to have more with the boys in just a little bit because they apparently have taken over my show.
Welcome back, everyone. Joel, Luke, Bekah, our special guest, and our very special guest, Mum.
That's right.
They've taken over my show, the boys from For King and Country.
She's still talking a lot, so it hasn't really taken over the show, but yes.
And we're going to do a contest. We're a little hazy on the rules, so fill in the blanks, Bekah.
All right.
This contest is called
Helen's Favorite Things.
These are a few of her favorite things.
In honor of the movie Unsung Hero, you have a chance to win some of Helen Smallbone, mom for King and Country herself, some of her favorite things, including tickets to the brand new movie. So I actually
4 tickets.
4 tickets, yes.
That's a lot of people.
Your whole family.
Whole family.
Right.
So I have some of the things that people can win on the table behind you, Helen.
Whoa.
How about the boys? I would like you to pick out one item that just speaks to you of like, oh yeah, this is Mom for sure.
The diffuser.
The diffuser.
Mom is the queen of diffusers.
Yes, every room.
Not probably every room, but a lot.
I just cannot do without essential oils. I just think they are God's gift to us. And so they travel with me. They're with me all the time. I can leave. I remember when I used to go out and visit her when she lived in California, and after I would leave, her daughter would come up and smell the bedclothes and be like, oh, this just smells like Nana. And so it's all essential oils.
So her multi-level marketing account with doTERRA is, I'm just kidding.
Go to doTERRA.com.
So essential oils, diffuser. There's also a Kindle on there. We're going to include a list.
And a toothbrush.
Which that part confuses me.
Mouth hygiene, everyone. Very important.
Toothbrush is good, but I did not realize this, but as you get older, and you boys have still got this in front of you,
I can't wait.
Your teeth actually shrink, and you get gaps between your teeth that food loves to get in.
Fantastic.
This is a water picket. This is a water picket advertisement.
That's it. It's a water pick advertising because I did not grow up doing the flossing thing because I'm old and I hate it. So the water pick is the answer to food stuck in your teeth and gingivitis.
Well, this toothbrush that we picked out for the promotion has both. It's a toothbrush and a water pick.
And a water
pick.
Everything. Congratulations. You knew. Hey, by the way, for the record, let the record show, Mariah and I got a water pick from our mum for Christmas.
That sounds right.
One time.
That sounds right. I mean, I think that
Did you give it back to me because I've given one away to other kids?
No.
And they were like, you know what? I'm not going to use this, so you can have it back. No, we use it.
Mariah uses it all the time. I floss. Mum, I am my mother's son. She loves a good quality Epsom salt bath.
Oh, yeah. That's another
those
one.
Are essential oils.
Yes. But
and she loves essential oils.
Yes, but I do love an Epsom salt bath.
Okay, maybe you can't read. I don't know.
I do love an Epsom salt bath, and an Epsom salt bath with essential oils.
There you go.
Yes,
Bring
even
it.
better.
Close the loop,
So
Mom.
Beyond the toothbrush and the essential oils, we also have family board games, a brand new Kindle with a gift card that you can buy books. We have a shopping spree for Marshalls and Home Goods. We heard you're a big fan.
Hey, this is quality.
Can I win this?
Yeah, I will have to check the rules, but if you want to enter to win Helen's favorite things, text the word HERO to 91979.
These are a few of her favorite things.
Wow.
That's HERO to 91979.
Way FM, uplifting, wrong way around, but hey,
uplifting
it's our
Way
show.
FM. We're taking over, and we're doing another little game, courtesy of Bekah. She's done a great job setting us up to win.
Well, yeah, I set it up for my interview, and then you guys were like, no, it's our show now.
And that is the Google search game. Fill in the blank.
Oh, man.
On each of these.
These are things people have actually Googled about both of you and the movie, and you finally are answering these questions.
Okay. This one's very vague. Luke Smallbone.
Got to rip it off.
Of the King and Country? I mean, what is the deal
This is
here?
about the film, though.
Some of them.
Height.
We're starting with the easy ones.
What's your height, Luke? You're enormously tall.
I mean, I'm like, 6'4", 6'5".
If he doesn't
That is
slouch, 6'6".
I mean, from the very beginning of your band, I feel like I've always heard industry people be like, oh, yeah, I have the tall one. So
The tall one?
Does Joel Smallbone
And you can rip those completely off, by the way.
have any children?
Oh.
Have a dog. I was going to say have a dog.
Yeah.
I do. Merriweather, a Great Dane, 115 pounds.
And a lap dog, of course.
And a lap dog.
Yeah.
That's what the Great
And
Danes
she's
are. That's what
marvelous.
makes them so wonderful.
She might be a one and done. She's that amazing.
Aw.
They say with Danes, because they're like a human weight, that you actually, like, when they pass, Mariah and I are both pretty terrified.
We with our dogs, we pretend that day's not going to happen. They're going to live forever. It's fine. We don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Next one.
Does for King and Country, any guesses? Have
Friends.
have a movie.
Yay!
I didn't see it.
Joel, good job. I'm so proud of you.
Yes, we do. I'm so glad you asked.
Well, as of today.
Yeah, it's out in
But
select
if this
theaters.
was about
is.
2 weeks prior, we didn't really have a movie. 'cause it
In
wasn't out.
theaters right now, a 90s biopic built around music, mums, miracles. It's our parents' story. It's in select theaters tonight. You can see it first, and nationwide.
Okay.
This weekend.
I'm going to do this. Just skip to this one because I just want to see if I'm right. Is Unsung Hero true? Ow!
Rated PG-13.
People were Googling it. People need to know, can they take their families?
It's a good question.
Good thing you can. It's only rated PG.
There you
Whammo.
go.
What do Pixar and Unsung Hero have in common?
They're rated PG,
They're
Luke.
PG.
I'm so glad you asked. Yes, safe for the whole family. Bring them along. All right, next up.
Different radio station.
What does Unsung Hero mean?
Oh, you cheated.
Did you look?
I saw the M.
Hey, at least you know he's truthful.
Yeah.
I cheated.
Wow,
what does Unsung Hero mean? It means something different for everyone.
What does it mean to you?
I think Unsung Hero, people are always wanting to know who in their life are the unsung heroes. I think that's what that, in their life. And invariably it does, and this is, I think, to all parents out there, it invariably does become parents, because that's just how powerful parents are in people's lives.
And not to do a catch-all, but it is our mum. It is our sister. And it's kind of Courtney and Mariah too. They're unsung heroes. But we do sing about them. So then maybe
the only way that we got here is because of our parents. So it comes back to parents.
Unsung Hero release dates.
Yes.
I saw the R.
Joel,
You stop cheating.
At least I'm admitting it.
I think is Unsung Hero true?
No, Unsung Hero release date. See it first tonight in select theaters. Go to Fandango or unsunghero.movie for more information. And then it's out nationwide on Friday, which happens to be our parents' 49th wedding anniversary. True story. Lastly,
a true story.
Based on a true story.
You had called that from the beginning.
It is. Not even based on a true story, not even inspired by a true story.
It is.
It is. I remember when we were breaking the story in 2020, we were sitting with Richard Ramsey.
Basically, just so people understand what that means, is like putting the foundational elements
pieces of the story.
He acts in 2 movies, and he's like,
it's a movie term, everyone.
When I'm writing a script,
when we're breaking the story, because we're filmmakers now, we sat with Richard Ramsey, and Mum and Dad were there, producers were there, Luke and I were there, and we kind of recounted our journey from Australia to the United States. And Richard Ramsey looked at Dad and he goes, "I'm so sorry you had to go through that." And then he looked at the rest of the table and he was like, "But what a great story, what a great movie this would make." And so a lot of the beats in the movie really happened. And so we're awfully proud to be releasing it really as of today. I will say this, in music, you have years to put singles on the radio, to promote an album. With theatrical movies, it'll be in theaters for a few weeks, but you really have 1 week to determine whether it's a success or a failure.
This is great information to have,
And this is it, guys.
Yeah.
Starting really tonight, this is the determiner of whether Mum's Miracles music, 90s films have a place in movie theaters. And so
have a place in this world.
I see what you did there.
Yeah,
we
clever.
implore you, if you're going to see this movie, go to the theaters. If you have a company, buy out a theater. It's not that much, actually, after all. If you can't see the movie, but you love the idea of it, but you're too busy, just grab a ticket off Fandango and cast your vote by grabbing a ticket. For a friend, even.
So starting tonight and then nationwide starting Friday. So you have weekend plans, people!